never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer, fine.
Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Here we are, the first Sunday in the month of December, and today here on the channel we're going to be talking some college football conference championship games from yesterday. But before I get into that talk, let me first say that I had a blast Friday night refereeing for National Championship Wrestling at 4246 Level Grove Road, Cornelia, Georgia, at the historic Landmark Arena. The next show there will be coming up in 2 weeks on Friday, December the 16th. Already announced for that night. Main event for the NCW Heavyweight Championship. Champion Curtis Coleman puts his title on the line against Marcus Adams. All that and more will be coming up in 2 weeks on Friday, December 16th at the historic Landmark Arena for National Championship Wrestling, 4246 Level Grove Road, Cornelia, Georgia. And also last night I had a blast, as I always do, getting Southern Fried on a Saturday night for Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. Had a huge night of wrestling action last night. The next show there will be coming up next year, the first Saturday in January the 7th of 2023. So go ahead and start saving up money now to make sure you can be there coming up on the first Saturday of next month at 405 Community Court, Monroe, Georgia, for Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. Their doors always open at 6 o'clock. Bell time is 7 o'clock. Last night's show will probably be on YouTube, I would say Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest. It normally gets uploaded pretty quickly, and I would encourage you to go back and watch it when it gets loaded, because it was a great night of action from top to bottom. But on to some conference championship games from yesterday. TCU suffered their first loss of the season. They go down to Kansas State 31-28. Kansas State was actually ahead 28-17. TCU scored 11 points in the fourth quarter to force overtime, and then Kansas State wins in overtime 31-28. You know, I said back around probably week 8 or 9 that the way it was looking, we were only going to have 2, maybe 3 teams at the most that finished the season undefeated. And sure enough, we only have 2. That's Georgia and Michigan. And what's even more surprising and shocking and stunning is that we only have 2 teams with 1 loss. And that's TCU, since they lost yesterday, and Ohio State. Everybody else has at least 2 losses. So for people like me that say the college football playoff field shouldn't expand, this year you see a good reason why I say that. They're struggling to find 4 teams that deserve to be in the playoffs. So what in the world are we going to do when we get to 12? We're just going to start putting 8 and 4 teams in the playoffs? I don't understand it. And I guarantee you, as soon as we get to 12, within 2 years, they'll be saying we should go to 16. I read an article earlier this week that was already saying we should go to 16 teams because if you have not seen what the playoff bracket will look like when we go to 12 teams, the teams that finish 1 through 4 do not play in the first round. Teams 5 through 12 play each other, and then they advance to the next round. The only difference is if your team's 5 through 12, the higher seeded team in each game gets a home game, whereas teams 1 through 4 get a bye, but they do not get a home game. So the second round, even though you have teams 1 through 4 who had the first round bye, they do not get to host a home game. So the second round is always going to be at a neutral site. So people are already complaining, saying it's not fair to work your butt off and play great all season long and get a 1 through 4 seed, and then you don't even get a home game. You get a bye in the first round, but all the teams that play in the first round get a home game, whereas you sit at home, and then in round 2, you play, and you're probably going to be the favored team, but it's going to be at a neutral site. And in most sports, teams that get a first round bye have home field advantage in the next round up until they lose or they play another higher seeded team. But in this situation, you don't. You get a first round bye, but you don't get a home game. So most people are already saying we should go to 16 teams and have those 4 additional teams so that teams 1 through 4 will still get to host a playoff game in round number 2. So we ain't even got to 12 teams, and people are already wanting 16 teams. Tulane defeated Central Florida by the score of 45-28. Georgia defeated LSU by the score of 50-30. And I have not gone back and read whether or not it's true, but I did read an article shortly after I got home last night from Southern Fried that says that Gary Danielson is going to the Big Ten. I don't know if he's going to ESPN or if he's going to the Big Ten Network or going to Fox or what. All I know is he's going to the Big Ten, so that should help whichever network is carrying the SEC, because Gary Danielson is absolutely horrendously terrible. And I'm one of those people that normally typically doesn't pay attention to announcers. The only 2 things that bother me in the announcing world is 1, Gary Danielson, anything he says, and 2, it's when people cannot pronounce the word Clemson. Not just because that's my team, but because that word is extremely easy to say. It's 7 letters, it's 2 syllables, and it's pronounced exactly like it's spelled. And I could not tell you over the years how many announcers I've heard say Clemson. And I'm thinking to myself, look, if you can't pronounce the word Clemson, you shouldn't be a broadcaster. There's nothing complicated about that word. There's no Z in the word. How do we get Clemson? So for all the SEC fans out there, if that's true, they should be happy, because from now on, when you watch the SEC Game of the Week, there will be no Gary Danielson. But like I said, I have not confirmed whether or not that's true. Clemson defeated North Carolina 39-10, and Michigan defeated Purdue 43-22. And DJ played 3 series last night, and the team just did not look motivated at all. So they put in Cade Klubnik, and this is the first time this year that Cade's came in, and they actually did not make him just pretty much run the ball. They actually let him run the offense. He threw the ball 24 times. First time this year he's looked good throwing the ball. There's a rumor going around that DJ is transferring, and like I said in yesterday's video, You really can't officially enter the portal until tomorrow, so I can't say whether or not it's true. It might be, but until I get confirmation on it and know for sure it's true, I'm not really going to pay it any attention, because if you know anything about DJ, you know he's from California. So if he went back out to California, it would make sense. But after last season, when he struggled so bad, people said he was going to transfer. Before their bowl game last year, everybody was saying he was going to transfer because he's from California. Plus, he struggled last year. Plus, his mom and dad was going through a divorce, so you would think he might go back home to spend time with his mom and dad as they go through their divorce. But none of that was true. He stayed. So I'm not saying he's not transferring now. I'm just saying until it's confirmed, I'm not going to put any stock into it, because it would have made more sense to transfer last year than it would this year, because even though Clemson's top two receivers had a combined 50 catches, which is flat out awful. If you look at DJ's numbers, his completion percentage was up over 7%. He had 300 more passing yards. He had 22 touchdowns this year in the regular season compared to 9 last year. He threw 7 picks this year compared to 10 last year. So every statistical category he was up in, despite the fact their wide receivers did absolutely nothing. So it would make sense for him to go back home to California, but I'm not saying he is. We'll find out. If not tomorrow, coming up sometime later on this week. And if you have not heard, Tennessee offensive coordinator Alex Golesh is now the new head football coach with the South Florida Bulls. That was announced yesterday. Of course, Tennessee's offense was really, really, really good this year. But you don't know, was that Alex Golesh's offense or was that Josh Heupel's offense? We don't know. But South Florida was 1-11, so they're flat out terrible. So I don't expect him to go there and win 8 or 9 games in year one. If he does, that would be remarkable, but I don't expect it. But tomorrow I will tell you where I will be at next weekend in the wrestling world. You'll have 2 chances again next weekend to see Ref Brandon. I'll tell you where I will be coming up in tomorrow's video. But for now, let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I got fired from my job as a taxi driver. Turns out customers don't appreciate it when you go the extra mile. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.